Okay, I just came to this part of the chair, and I just wanted to point out something that there's a couple of things I wanted to just point out. That basically, like, we were talking about the map and clear, taking away the green edges that 3ds Max is trying to like help you along with, but sometimes the green edges are obviously going to still appear, and the reason for that is it's because there's actually no polygon on either side of this. Obviously you're trying to save as many polygons as you can, so these are going to be deleted because they're not actually exposed anywhere, and yeah, they're going to show up in green because it is an actual edge. Like there's no way it's never not going to be an edge, so it's always going to be green. So don't worry about that if you see. The other thing I wanted to talk about was just the idea of copying UVs. So I unwrap this section just there now, and this is just a mirror image. This part is just a mirror image of this, so I don't have to unwrap this again. I can just copy the unwrap, never mind about the map and clear, and just select this and right click on the empty space there and just press paste instant, and that's going to copy over the UVs for that as well. So again, this is keeping in mind that if you paste the same instance of the unwrap, that the texture that you apply to one is going to apply to the other as well. So as long as you're happy with that the two of them are going to share the same wood texture, which again I'm fine about, then that's a much quicker way of going about your model. Okay, so now that you have your model unwrapped, all the sections are unwrapped, you should have open UV editor map, as it were, for each section. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you just a way to bring all those sections together, even though you've unwrapped them separately. There's a couple of ways you can do it. You can either select the entire model and group it, and once you group it then and call it whatever you want. If you apply UVW unwrap, it'll all come together, and then when you open it, everything that you've done will be in the one place. The other way, now you would use that if you were going to, say, animate certain sections or whatever it would be, and you want to still keep them separate but want the map to be together. Or you could even do it if you had like two completely different objects and you wanted to group them together so you'd have the map together, and then when you actually bring them into Unity or whatever, you could separate them, and actually they could be their own independent thing, but you would have one map for both coming in. So what we're going to do is, because this is going to be one piece and it's going to be not animated or anything, we're just going to make it one solid piece. So to do that, just pick a section. I'm going to pick the back, and we're going to right click on it and convert it to an editable poly. And once that's converted to an editable poly, if you go here to edit geometry and expand that, if it's not expanded, you'll see attach, and you can press the box here and attach by the items names that you've listed or whatever you want to do, but oftentimes it's just easier if you click attach and then just select what pieces you want to attach to it. And we want to attach all the pieces, and if you remember from earlier, the planes at the back with the reference images are actually frozen, so we can't select them, so it's fine. So just select all the pieces together, so they'll become one object, and that's the entire model. So unselect attach and you have your model together, and once you apply a UVW map, either again through the modifier panel or I'm going to use my button here, then it all comes up together. So if we open the UV editor, it'll come out like this, and I have all these sections of the model that I have unwrapped independently. Now if you pack all these, basically what I've done is certain pieces, now this one is very messy, just down to the actual model that it is. Like each one of these I've stacked over each other because I know they're going to be pretty similar, but they're just slightly off what they actually are as far as shape wise, but they're the legs, so I've stacked them up and it looks pretty messy. But if I was to put a checkered map by dropping this down and put it on it, and you have a look at the entire model here, it actually looks pretty even as far as the checker map and everything else. So you can see it's not too bad. Like, so yeah, again, these are overlapped and they look pretty horrible in here, but when the actual map is applied, it'll look well and it'll look fine. So I'm not too worried about that. That's just how I roll. Now if you were to go in here and say, okay, well, all these elements are now together, so I'm going to pack them. If I do that, these elements that I have overlapped, such as here and here and, well, most of the place, if I do that, they're going to separate again, which is going to take up a lot more space, which I don't want to do. So I've already done these and just kind of placed them in blocks themselves, so I could just kind of move them into place manually on the map. And then whenever I feel like that's the best way to have it, I'm going to just scale them up and down myself to get the best kind of result out of them. So like, I know that the cushion is much bigger than this arm, and these back cushions is much bigger than other sections. So for instance, oh, that should actually be over there with that. For instance, I could take these and I could just go to this and just scale them down, because I know they're going to be smaller than the cushions, say. And it's also a good idea that these are the cushions and these are the cushions, that I should really just put these in a similar place, so that when I'm actually texturing it, say I can have this top right corner can be the cushions and this down here can be the wood. So I'll show you what I have the map done like, and then I'll show you how to save them out once we're done with this. Okay, so once you're in a position you're actually happy with, I can see here from the checker map that I'm actually pretty happy with the way it's displaying, that I'm now in a position where I can actually just put it into the 0 and 1 map. So I'm just going to go to the top right corner here after selecting all of it and just make sure that it's actually inside the boundaries of the 0 and 1 map entirely. And it is. So what we'll do from this point then is we're going to take this map and render it out, so we actually have a reference for where the stuff is on the model according to the map. When we bring it into Photoshop, we'll be able to see it there. So if we go to Tools and Render UVW Template, we're going to render it at 1024 by 1024 because that's the texture size for this, and we're going to render the UVW template using this button here. Everything else is fine on it. So this renders out like this, and it looks a bit weird here, but it'll look fine in Photoshop. So we can save the image using the top left floppy disk for some reason, and we're going to save it in my directory. I'm going to save it in its own folder in Concert Chair. So Concert Chair underscore UV is what I'm going to title this, and instead of all formats we're just going to choose JPEG, because we don't need to try to save any transparency layers or anything like that. So just a flat JPEG is going to be used, because to be honest it's just a reference and we're never actually going to use this file anyway, other than to take reference off. So we can close down now these and unselect the unwrap, and this is pretty much, you have your map of it now, so you can right click on it and convert it to an editable poly. And once you've done that, it's not like the unwrap is actually lost now or anything. It's still there, so if you put an unwrap back on it, it's going to still be there. But we're fine keeping it as an editable poly, so we don't actually mess up the unwrap or anything like that afterwards. So at this point, pretty much these panels are done, so I'm going to unfreeze them and I'm going to delete them because we don't need them anymore. And here's my chair. So the next part, I'm going to show you how to affect the pivot point, and once we've done that, I'm going to show you how to render out the ambient occlusion maps and the normal maps for the actual chair. So yeah, I'll do that